proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears. Let's talk rallying, episode 25. I'm once again joined by my co-host, Conor Edwards. Conor, you're very welcome along.
Kevin, as always, delighted to be here.
Excellent. So this episode we catch up with Beatty Crawford and Rory Kennedy, who speak to us about the legend that was Paddy Hopkirk. And we also then catch up with Jonny Greer, who looks back on his championship winning year and the down rally at the weekend, which was, he's had a brilliant year. Then Gordon Noble helps us to look forward to the Cork 20 this weekend. And also we're joined by Jason Dickson and Aoife Raftery, who look back on their seasons to date and give us a sort of a flavour of what to expect as the rest of the year. But I suppose, first of all, we should catch up with Beatty and Rory and hear what they have to say about the one and only Paddy Hopkirk. Paddy Hopkirk was a household name. He was a rally driver beyond compare. Even these younger guys coming up through, they'll never be Paddy Hopkirk as such, But to Beatty, he was far more than that. He was a friend to you.
I knew Paddy really well. And I was just starting off rallying. He was my hero. He and Jack Scott as co-driver. He was the Debonair guy, and they were Mr. Rally in Northern Ireland. Paddy was Mr. Rally Ireland, and obviously one of the best in the world. And what made him such a great driver? He was smart. He was a quick thinker. He was very good under pressure. And all those, it's very, I call him the complete rally driver. He was brilliant at PR. And later when I got to really know him well, I found him to be a real gentleman. He never failed to reply to an email. He always returned phone calls. He just was a lovely, lovely man. And all those qualities, to my mind, made him the best ever rally driver to come out of Ireland.
Without a doubt, we think of a Mini, we think of Paddy Hopkirk, we think of the Monte Carlo Rally, we think of Paddy Hopkirk. We could list all these achievements, but it goes beyond his achievements, as you talk about. It was the man he was. It was the personality. He was so much more than just a rally driver.
Oh, absolutely. He had this marvelous knack of being able to say the most outrageous things to people, particularly women. I mean, he was the original anti-woke person, and he had always a smile and a twinkle in his eye, and you couldn't you couldn't hold it against you. All you could do was laugh. But he got away well. It wasn't just his age. He was always a guy who got away with most outrageous things. And but he was a real genuine man. I mean, when I started organizing, I thought Paddy was my hero.
Yeah.
And I felt that he had never been. He didn't receive the accolades he should have. I mean, he should have been knighted. You now have people who are knighted. Well, what have they done? They won a tennis tournament, or binge drugs and sing a few songs, and they get, MBEs and OBEs and knighthoods. Paddy Hopkirk put Mini on the map. He was, worth millions, if not billions and billions of pounds to Britain, and then he got nothing. And I really felt badly about this, and that's why I decided come up with the idea of the Paddy Hopkirk Gala.
Mm-hmm.
And the most interesting thing about the Paddy Hopkirk Gala was not just the number of people. We had 540 people came to the gala dinner. But I went to various people who wanted things done. One of the things I wanted done was have close off the golf place on a Saturday morning, you know. And the first thing, when I went to the officials and said, this is my idea, I would like to close off the golf place, they looked at me as if it was crazy. And then I said, you know, it's for Paddy Hopkirk. Oh, no problem. For Paddy? And this was 50 years after he'd won the Monte Carlo Rally. And that was common theme.
Yeah.
It happened time after time when I was organising the Paddy Hopkirk Gala. And then just made things happen. It was remarkable.
And that's such a brilliant thing. And Rory, like, you know, we all know that the name Paddy Hopkirk was synonymous. Like, when did you first become aware of it? And when did you get the opportunity to first meet Paddy?
Oh, Kevin, it's an interesting story. That of course, Paddy Hopkirk to me was a legendary figure, somebody you would read about, and somebody who you sort of had heard of years and years ago. But there's a way out there. It was something that wasn't maybe close to us, that somebody we knew on I had never met Paddy previous to the first Paddy Hopkirk week that Beatty organised. But nevertheless, it was through a bit of work Beatty and I were doing with the Donegal Deja Vu event. And shortly after that, Beatty came to me and said, would I be interested in partnering Paddy on the Ulster Deja Vu? And of course, I jumped at the opportunity and nearly ran down the phone. And I said, of course, absolutely. Without a shade of a doubt, it took me 0.1 of a second to make my mind up. and then that's where it began. And of course, I had never heard of Paddy, and Beatty sent me some details, email numbers and so on. And so we had a bit of contact and so on before the event. But as Beatty said, he's an outrageous character, and he's the greatest knack of getting away with saying things. And it was just incredibly good crack, you know. And that's how it came about. Beatty linked me up with him, and I met Paddy the day before the Ulster Deja Vu at the Titanic Centre, and we immediately hit it off. I never felt comfortable with somebody that, you know, so much so that we even went to the gala dinner that night, Beatty, we had before the event, and we chatted non-stop until the wee hours of the morning. I couldn't wait to get up the next morning because we were teaming up to go on the famous Mini and do all the stages around Tory Head, and I think Knock a Hill climb, Tardree Forest and all them, Beatty. So it was an incredible opportunity that Beatty created for me, and obviously I'm very grateful for that, Beatty.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like Beatty, going back to yourself, the gala that you organised in Belfast for the celebration, the 50th celebration of Paddy won Monte Carlo. Like, as you say, every time you mentioned his name, another door opened. Like, that was such a fantastic experience. What did Paddy make of all that? Did he love the adulation?
Plum Tyndall, the gala started with a gathering at Stormont, and I think we had 150 cars or something, and Plum went in with Paddy as he led the field, obviously, as sort of a camera car, and Paddy had tears in his eyes when he left that start ramp. It meant so much to Paddy because Paddy always was a Northern Irish man. He never, ever forgot his roots. Never. I mean, he would do anything for people from Northern Ireland. Essler, my brother, was a very good photographer. He persuaded, when they were racing at Le Mans, the BMC team, to bring along Essler as her official photographer because Paddy told them he was the only person could take real racing photographs. He started a Toyota business with Neville Johnson and Dennis Bell in Belfast, and he took Neville with him on the London and Mexico rally as the third co-driver. And Neville Johnson wasn't known as a good rally driver. He was a brilliant driver. And a very good all-round person to have in a car. But Paddy wanted somebody from Northern Ireland with him. He was his roots, he lived in England most of his life, but he never forgot Northern Ireland. ever.
And like this whole idea of this podcast is to celebrate the best of what this country has to offer, and he was the forefather of that. And like Rory, I'm sure you'll agree with me. Like we've had Chris Meek, we have Craig Breen at the minute, and one thing or another, but they have never reached the accolades that Paddy reached.
Well, apparently, the Belfast newsletter, the front page, I didn't see it because I'm in France, but apparently the front page was devoted to Paddy. Is that correct? Did anybody see the Belfast news?
I haven't seen it now, to be honest with you.
Well, apparently the whole front page was devoted to Paddy. That's remarkable. Yeah. Remarkable. As Chris Meek said, the piece I read, Chris said, we're lucky to get mentioned in the back page of this of a newspaper nowadays. I can't understand why rallying has gone from being a front page story to a back page. It just defeats me why this has happened.
Yeah, and as well as that, Beatty, it's shocking to say, but I couldn't see very much of it in the Southern press, and even checked on the RT website last night, and I'm open to correction this, but I couldn't find any reference to this at all, that Paddy had actually passed on. But anyway, on a brighter note, Kevin, after we did the Deja Vu, Paddy sent me this book. You can see it on the right way up here.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible book. It's called A Dash of the Irish by Paddy Hopkirk. And pretty much that book there is an encyclopedia of Paddy's motorsport lifetime, of all the events that he's done. There's even an index in the back of the book of all the events he's done over 50 years. And they're as far away as New Zealand, Australia, Singapore, Argentina, America. It's incredible the amount that he's done. He did 9 consecutive Monte Carlo rallies from 1960 to 1969. And of course, famously winning the rally in 64. And I was just looking at the spec of the car being upgraded for that 1964 Monte. And some of the upgrades that it got before the rally was a 2-speed wiper motor and a wood rim steering wheel. These were upgrades, so. It was an incredible man, and the time that he and I spent together, it was virtually in a rally, even though it wasn't a rally, if you like. Yes. But the 2 events we did together were moments to cherish. I mean, even Beatty, if you remember, on the Donegal Deja Vu for Donna, we went and stopped at the location where Paddy crashed in the 1966 Circuit of Ireland, I think it was.
I think it was 63 or something.
Oh, sorry. Well,
I can't remember. It could have been 66. No, there's no road pages.
65 or 66. I think. Yeah.
Was it?
Thereabouts. And interestingly enough, Terry Harriman was a co-driver then. Yeah. But on the day on the Donegal Deja Vu, we went there, and as you know, Beatty, it was a controlled area where we stopped, and all the people from that area came out to Paddy, and they almost worshipped him, because on that night when he crashed there, really bad accident. I think the story gets longer as the years go on, Beatty, I think. There's a wee bit of a myth around it that some of the local people said they spent the night. Him and Terry spent the night in this house, and the next day somebody came and picked up the car and took it away again. But it was brilliant to go there, and the people that were there were only young children the time Paddy crashed, and they were able to go there and tell him, "Oh, this is what I was doing, and I remember well when he crashed," and so on. But he was very generous in his time and to engage with the people in a very meaningful way. So it was great to be there. You were there, Beatty. It was an incredible moment, I thought.
Yeah, because on the Saturday night of that weekend, Donna brought one of the guys out to meet Paddy, and it was really touching to see how they met up. And the guy was telling the story of him, Paddy and Terry standing in their kitchen, and he thought he had some kind of magic jacket on that kept opening and closing with no zip or no buttons, but it was Velcro.
That's right.
So Paddy Hopkirk, in the 60s was a hero, and in the 20s, 60 years later, he was still a hero. That's the mark of the man he was, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that was all due to his fantastic, warm personality. I mean, I knew when I suggested to Rory that he and Paddy would go with Paddy, Donegal and the Ulster Titanic event. I knew he would have a great time because I knew Paddy was so easy. He's so easy. He just makes you feel at ease. And it was the same with everybody he met, and time to spend and, give autographs. He's just a wonderful man, in my opinion. One of the best.
One of the best. And even Beatty back there when we did that event, what struck me on the Ulster Deja Vu was he was very sharp, he was very well switched on himself mentally and all, even physically he was well capable of doing it. And even on the because the Deja Vus aren't speed events, it's more like a tour. Or I was very impressed with Paddy as a road driver. Like he had very good road positioning on the road, and even when he would go to overtake somebody, I used to sit there thinking, freaking hell, this man is, even as a road driver, was an incredible driver. And I think at that point, Beatty, he might have been 86 years old, maybe, at that time. I think it was 89.
He was starting to suffer from macular degeneration, with his eyesight. And
yes.
That was the problem he had. You drove most of Deja Vu Donna because his eyesight had begun to go pretty bad. It was very bad eyesight in one eye. And it took me a wee bit of persuading him to come to Donna de Deja Vu because I think he was worried he wouldn't be able to drive properly. So I suggested you drive, and he told me. I took him back to Belfast the next day, and he said they really enjoyed himself. We remember that night in the hotel, we were all sitting having a drink, and he wasn't great for him. It was like he was back, in the good old days, and he was just one of the boys. No airs and graces about Paddy Hopkirk.
Yeah. And even on the way home from Donegal Deja Vu, or maybe on the way going to Donegal Deja Vu, another very interesting wee story was that he stopped off with Mervyn Johnson and Pettico on the way through in Blake.
Yeah, Pettico. And Tullyhammon, yeah. And the way he stopped in to see wee Mervyn was really surprised and really, he was really.
That's right.
I took a photograph after there.
That's right. I've seen that recently again, Beatty. I thought that was a very nice touch. Two true many men together, like absolute many men through and through.
Same age group. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Oh, he's a remarkable character. There's no doubt about it. Some of the wee things I've still gotten that Beatty from the our number and our names and all, and of course still got the Donna Day from the day we did it. So of course these are very, very, all these bits and pieces are very cherished. Well, they always were, more so now than ever.
I'm going to give you a new job. You're going to be the PR agent for Deja Vu.
Thanks very much, Beatty.
So we'll start wrapping up now. I suppose, Beatty, probably best to ask you, how do you think Paddy would like to be remembered?
I think he would like to remember just an ordinary man who was lucky enough to be able to drive cars really fast. And he never wanted to. He could rub shoulders with the rich and famous. He could rub shoulders with anybody, and it made everybody feel comfortable. And I think he would just like to be known as a nice man, is what he was.
And then I suppose, Rory, turning that question around a wee bit, how will you remember Paddy Hopkirk?
Well, I remember Paddy Hopkirk very, very fondly, Kevin, anyway. And I was fortunate and privileged and lucky enough to share those couple of experiences over the past few years with him. And outside of that, I've been in contact with him. We email, we have some texts and some WhatsApps and stuff going on there for over the past 20 years. And as Beatty said, Paddy was very, very generous with his time, and no matter where he went, and people stopped him and asked him, "Do you mind getting his photograph?" He had time to do that, And I think Beatty, for the short time I have known him personally, I think throughout his life, he's always had that, people stopping him and photographs and autographs and all this sort of thing. But he was very generous and affordable with his time. And at that last event we had in Donegal, Beatty was incredible then. The night before, the night after, during the event, anybody that wanted anything, Paddy was there. And I must say, he was a complete rally driver. And that book that I'm after showing you, The Dash of Irish, if anybody hasn't got that, and And if anybody wants to know anything about Paddy Hopkirk, that's the book to have, because every single detail's in there of events from far and wide, and it is a very, very impressive read, I can assure you.
It's interesting, sort of a final note. He sent me a text, no, an email about 2 weeks ago, congratulating us for donating 40,000 euros down Tralee. I mean, he had nothing to do with our event, but he took the time to send me a message to thank Plumina for donating that money. That was just showed the character of the man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and the final word then to you, Beatty. How will you remember Paddy Hopkirk, your friend?
Oh, I remember him as a great driver. As I say, he could do anything. He raced, he auto tested, he rallied, he rally crossed. He was a man who rose to the occasion, and that's a very big part of rallying or in any sport, to rise to the occasion. So many people, when they get near winning, they have problems. And Paddy, he competed for Northern Ireland in the TV driving tests one year when they were televised. And one of the tests was you had to spin inside a garage with wooden it was very tight. And it all depended on Paddy doing this, getting this MG midget round one turn. Paddy rose to the occasion, did it perfectly, and Northern Ireland won. That, to me, exemplified Paddy Hopkirk. He, under pressure, he was a winner.
I don't think we can say much further than that there. So, Paddy Hopkirk.
Sorry, Kevin, to interrupt. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Yeah, just what you were saying there about what a complete driver he was in terms of racing driver, hill climber, auto tester, rally driver, the whole lot. In the index in the back of the book, like, for example, you might find always the first rally of the year is the Monte Carlo Rally. So, and every year it's almost the Monte Carlo Rally. But you might have the Monte Carlo Rally, the Sebring 12-hour race, and then you might have the Enniskerry hill climb. Then you might have the Circuit of Munster or the Kirkuson race meeting. And then you might have the Liège Sofia Rally. And then Le Mans 24 hours, the Tulip Rally. It's incredible, like, you know, it's a vast amount of events, like.
You know, that goes back to Beatty, what you had said earlier. He never forgot his roots. He was out competing across the world, but he still made time to come back home and do the events closer to home as well.
Oh, I'll tell you one more story. We did a PR shoot in advance of the Titanic, the Paddy Hopkirk Gala. I heard about this replica that Graham McConnell had built. So we asked Graham to bring the car up, and we did a photo shoot with the car. And Paddy took it for a drive, and he loved the car. And I found out that Graham was very ill from lung cancer and was interested in selling the car. So I mentioned this to Paddy, and Paddy said to me, how much does he want? And I said, found out from Graham what he wanted. And I said to Paddy, this much. He said, done. No quibbling. All right, he bought the car. He didn't buy the car as an investment. He used that car for charity events in England, okay, to make money for other charities. He wanted to have a perfect replica of the Monte-winning car. Then Graham died a few months later, and Paddy came over for Graham's funeral.
Yeah.
That typifies the man who always was looking out for other people. So once again, I'd like to pass on my condolences on behalf of Mr. Connor and myself to the Hopkirk family, and may Paddy Hopkirk rest in peace. We'll just catch up with now Jonny Greer and get his views on the Northern Ireland Championship this year and his victory on the Down Rally. So Jonny, third time Northern Ireland champion, 4 wins from 5 starts this year in the Northern Ireland Championship. It's been a great year for you.
Yeah, it has. We had probably a better year than we were expecting, sort of from the start, but you know, everything just got off on the right foot with the 2 wins in Kyrgyz and in Bishopscourt, and that kind of just set up the year going forward. And luckily we were able to sort of carry the momentum forward and into the rest of the rounds, and yeah, everything worked really well. I think the second, I'd never done the 2 seasons back to back in the Northern Ireland Championship before, so going back again to sort of defend the championship was probably another thing to think about. But yeah, everything just went from the first round and just carried on, and then it all worked out in the end.
Mm-hmm. And with COVID and everything else, this is the first year that we've really seen the benefit of the splitting of the Northern Ireland Championship into tarmac and gravel. It seems to definitely reinvigorated the tarmac side of the championship. There's been full entries, brilliant events. It's great to see.
Yeah, the entries have been very strong all year. I think, as you say, coming back sort of properly from the restrictions made a big difference. In 21, we had to do a lot of sort of, how would you say? We had to do a lot of sort of betting in events, to try and get rallying up and going again. I think that was understood by everybody that was going to be a slow process. But this year probably was the first year where it was back to what you would say normal. So I think the strong entries in the championship and everything else throughout the year is just, I think it validated the organisers' decision to go this way with it.
Yeah, and and the entry, the quality of entry, likes of yourselves supported the championship very well. Catherine McCourt, Derek McGarity, every event has been it hasn't been a foregone conclusion. It's like there's 4 or 5, maybe even sometimes 6 guys there going there with the possibility of winning the rally.
Yeah, I think that helps the championship too. The fact that it has been so competitive. It's given you we've had sort of different people come in and out throughout the year in the different rounds, so it's always given you something to think about when there's new people coming in from different championships and to race. So it has been good. It has been a strong year, and I think that's a good thing for the Northern Ireland Championship. It's hopefully something that can build on now to go forward into 2023. With hopefully that'll continue until then. But yeah, I think it has been good. I think the season ended a bit earlier is maybe not a bad thing, and it sort of compressed the championship a bit more. So yeah, it all seems to have worked. So hopefully this momentum continues and for another year now.
Yeah, and at the weekend with the Down Rally there, and we've seen some of the UK tarmac guys over from the Pro Tire Championship, and they all seem to love it. So that might encourage some of them guys to maybe come over and sample a few more events next year.
Yeah, hopefully. Getting the guys over here to see what the rallying over here is all about is obviously good for everyone. I think a few of the guys in the Pro Tire Championship have been to the Down Rally before when it was a previous rounds in 2019. But I think everyone seemed to enjoy themselves. It's like you have to come over and experience sort of the Irish rally. It's slightly different than rallying in GB. It's slightly different sort of atmosphere. So I think it's good that the guys come over and see that firsthand, and yeah, hopefully see them back again soon.
Mm-hmm. And the quality of the road stages this year has been very high. We're thinking Maiden City, Tyrone, and the Down. Probably Down has become almost the jewel of the Northern Ireland Championship. This year in particular, Lisburn, the council there, the city council took it on board and had in their chambers and the big screen outside. The service area in the middle of the town. All the young things there. It's really bringing rally into the people as well.
Yeah, I think obviously I've got a fairly biased view on the Down Rally, but I think the championship, it was good for the championship to end the season there. I mean, the guys have really took the run of the rally and sort of it's built on it year on year. I think probably the biggest surprise this year was obviously the change of service area, a slight change of venue. Brought a lot of different problems and potential problems with it. But the council, I mean, the Lisburn City Council really embraced the whole thing, which was you never really know how these things are going to land when you propose them, but they did. They really took it on board, and they couldn't have done enough for you. I think it was probably a surprise from all of us that it was so well received. But I think that's we have sort of talked about before, and the motorsport has to go to where the people are. You know, it has to get people involved in the sport, and you're not going to get people involved when the rally's away out somewhere where nobody knows what's going on or what's happening. I know bring it down to the city centres cause other issues, of course they do, but I think it's good to see people that haven't been there before come to see a rally or see rally cars driving about it. It sparks an interest with people. So as long as it's all good fun and good natured, I don't see any problem with it. But it is a lot to take on for any club. It's a big risk to put themselves forward for that. But I'm really glad that it worked out. It was a very good atmosphere, I thought, through the whole event. The service area was fantastic too. So I think it all worked, and hopefully it'll be a bit of a plan going forward. Now there's maybe sort of more rallies who come on board and maybe do something similar.
Absolutely. Because we landed up there Saturday morning, right from the officials out at the for the service in the area was helping us, telling us where to get parked, walking in then to get signed on, one thing or another. Everybody was so welcome, even out on the stages, the officials, the marshals, everybody. It was just, you just knew this was a rally run by people who wanted the best for the event. And, for everyone involved, that was like the weather might have been a wee bit damp, but it didn't dampen the enthusiasm of the officials and everybody and the marshals and all out there.
Yeah, so you can't do much about the weather, unfortunately. You can't plan for it, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think the good thing is the clubs have managed to put it together and get people from all sorts of different, sort of people who've competed before, people who are currently competing, people who hope to compete someday, and they've managed to sort of drag all those people together with a common goal, a common interest, and I think it does reflect in the rally the fact that you're dealing with people who are sort of enthusiastic and want the rally to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, as you say, that just it's quite, once you have the people at the top of the organising tree who are thinking that way and are pushing everything forward, I think it does filter down right down to the guys on the ground on the stages. The guys feel that and they know that it's something you're trying to build. I think it does work. I think it's great to bring people in that maybe haven't been to an event before in an organising capacity and get them in. We've had the Down Rally had a few people who it was their sort of first time on that organisational side, and yeah, I think it all worked well, and it seemed to have a great sort of, I say, a common goal, and it seemed everyone was pulling in the same direction.
Excellent. And then for your own point of view, doing the recce last week, the weather was reasonably fine, and then pulling back the curtain Saturday morning, to be greeted by the damp conditions. Did it leave you then, does that put a different slant on it? Because your recce had been in the dry, you're starting to wonder, where's the shiny tar going to be? Is there going to be standing water? Does it change your game plan for the day, or did you still go back at it? Did you stick to the original plan?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we knew there was rain coming. At the weekend, there was a good chance there'd be rain at some stage, sort of towards the end of the week. That was the way it was all looking. I think probably on Friday night I was sort of hoping that it would be wet the next day, because I thought that would make it probably a bit more consistent. I was sort of hoping that it would be wet in the morning and not dry and then rain sort of halfway through your first loop. Mm-hmm. So when I seen it was wet on Saturday morning, I was actually quite happy with that, because it meant that the rain that was forecast to arrive at some stage had already arrived before we'd done anything. So I think I was quite fortunate. I've done a couple of the stages previous years, and one of the previous years in the Down Rally, the Hamilton's Folly stage, I actually wrecked it in the wet. So I had all the shiny tar and all from the previous notes marked, which was a big advantage, because I seen none of it on the Friday when it was dry, and missed every single one of them. And then when it rained, obviously the notes had them in anyway. But so that was a big advantage on my side. A couple of the stages were slightly, that was Hamilton's Folly is probably the only real stage where that was a problem, but the second stage had been resurfaced we had done it in the circuit in 2016, but between then it had been resurfaced, so nobody knew exactly how good or how bad the grip was going to be. So that was probably the most stressful stage of the event, was getting into stage 2 and seeing what was coming. Mm-hmm. But no, everything else was fairly straightforward. The conditions made it very tricky because it was going wet and dry all
Yes.
all day really.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, we're quite fortunate that we got all the tire calls right, and that made life a whole lot easier then, because it would have been different if you were stuck out in slicks and the rain was coming. That would have made it very difficult for
That's
us.
true. Yeah.
But for what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. And then, you mentioned the stages there. You had Buck's Head, you had Hamilton's Fall, the stages that would stand the test for, anywhere in the world. And then, the club introduced the two new stages back in 2018, I think it was. And, they have become, very strong stages as well. It's great to be always bringing in new stages as well. It's not just relying on the old favourites as well.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it has to be a bit of variation. I think there is certain events you go to now where it is the same stages over and over and over again for the last 20, 30 years. And I think that it's nice to have a bit of variation in a rally. It's hard to do from an organisation point of view, because starting off with a fresh stage and a fresh plan of where it's going to go, and having to do all your PR for the residents and all those sort of things, there's a lot of work involved. But I think the Down rally have really done a good job of finding two completely new stages, and then pulling like of Hamilton's Folly and Buck's Head together from previous events and making it all work together.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And then, you start Saturday morning, you have the right tires on. Do you drive with the intention of going out there to win the rally, or is the championship in the back of your mind as well, or what's your approach there?
At the time, you were sort of caught between two options, but I think realistically, what was decided on was just basically we would just do our own thing, and sort of the chips would fall where they may, sort of thing. I think by going too much looking at just purely championship was going to be probably not the right way to go, because you would probably be too cautious and not really. It's one of those scenarios when you're trying to finish is the day you probably won't finish. It's one of those things that it just, you tense up and everything just becomes so much more difficult. So sort of thought about both options, and then realistically the plan was just to go and do our own thing on the first couple of stages, see where we end up, if we were going to be on the pace or where we were going to be, and then go from there and make a plan from there. Extremely lucky that the first stage was very clean and the time was good, and then that just kind of set the rhythm for the day, because it's very hard for me anyway to find. I can't really say we're going to go in here and push, we're going to go in here and go easy. I'm not really I'm not really capable of that one. So it's kind of, you just kind of go into the stage, drive your stage, and you come to the end and you look at the time, and that's where you go. So that's kind of what we did. And the time was competitive, and I was like, okay, well that's the plan for the rest of the day. Then just keep doing what we're, just sort of worry about ourselves. Don't worry about where we are as much in the rally. Don't worry about the championship. Just keep plugging along. Just do what we're doing and see where we end up. And that's kind of, obviously, some of the stages later on in the day when it got quite tricky, that was maybe a different mindset, because obviously you didn't want to take massive risks where it was a bit shiny or a bit muddy or gravelly and stuff like that. But apart from that, it was just sort of relax and just enjoy the event from there on.
Yeah. And to get to the finish and spray that champagne outside the Civic Centre there in Lisburn, a great feeling then to cap off the championship.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean to end the rally, or to end the championship on the home rally with a rally we were involved in, it was special. It just you obviously looked at the when the calendar came out and you looked at the date and you seen that was going to be the last event. Obviously your head went to the place where you sort of think, well, if we could get in the position to win the championship and win it on the last event and win, that would be fantastic. But then you had to reel the ball back in again and sort of think, well, that's dreaming about it's not going to do you any good. So it's just it was just kind of a thing of let's just so the whole way through the rally, that wasn't really on my mind. It was just kind of just go from stage to stage, and just if you go from the stage and you get a competitive time in the stage, you'll end up in a competitive result in the rally, and if you have a competitive result, you win the championship. So just one step at a time, very much. So then when it all came together and you sort of come off the last stage, that's when you kind of like sort of on the way back, you sort of thought, oh, this is quite cool. Yeah, but you had to sort of keep that whole thing under wraps for the event, because it was just another distraction, really.
Yeah,
But
you didn't want to be thinking about it. You had to be thinking what's in front of you at this particular time.
yeah. I mean, it's happening. Rallying's a difficult sport, and anything can really happen in it. It can be a mechanical problem. It could be something completely strange can happen, and you'll not finish the event. So it's the sort of thing you never really count it as anything until you're back in the service area, until you're through the last control, and that's it, finished. So that's kind of where you get where you sort of just go from point to point, and then once you get to the end, you can sort of then take stock of what's happened. So, but it's something I'll probably never forget. Having that sort of the win on that rally with sort of so close to home and everything else. So yeah, it's probably still hasn't really sunk in yet, but it will eventually.
Excellent. And then going forward now for the rest of the year, if you have any plans, would you like to go and try a couple of the gravel rounds, or do you see yourself maybe doing something different?
Yeah, we haven't really made a plan yet. Obviously we'd looked at Cork, which was this weekend, but decided against it just because of it was too close really to the down rally and everything else. We just decided not to try and complicate things any more than it had to be. And yeah, obviously the Ulster would be one we're looking at, the last round of the Tarmac Championship, and it being a sort of a home rally as well. So we looked at a few different things, but realistically we can just sort of relax now and pick and choose a few events that we want to go and do. And as I say, maybe we'd like to go back on the gravel at some stage. I haven't been on gravel for probably 3 years now. So yeah, I'm looking at a few events probably between here and back over in GB and stuff, and try and make a plan of where I want to go. But yeah, just go out and take a few weeks now just to relax, and then pick a few rallies and just go out and enjoy ourselves.
Lovely to catch up with Jonny once again, and another win. The man is talented and has no issue just clocking up those wins. And again, change of co-driver. Kirsty's still not in the hot seat at the moment this year, and it's not phasing Jonny.
No, not that. That's 2 championships on the bounce, and as he mentioned there, one on the championship in his own home rally, the down rally, sponsored by the company and everyone else too. It's just a lovely story. It really is, But what a fantastic rally, Conor. Me and yourself were up at the rally, and brilliant event.
Absolutely brilliant event. Very enjoyable day out. A lovely rally to watch or to follow, and one of my favorite stages, Hamilton Folly. We drove the stage ourselves that morning. It's tight, it's twisty, it's tricky, it's full of fantastic jumps. It's a photographer's dream, and I just love watching the in-car footage from that stage.
Absolutely, and you can see why the ERC guys at the time with the Circuit Ireland loved the stage. Remember Cato talking about having hair standing up in the back of his arm, coming off the stage. It's just, it has everything. It really has. It really is one of the true classics of Irish rally.
It certainly is. And again, the two motor clubs coming together, that's a well-run, slick rally. Any year I've been to it, it's been fantastic to attend. Runs on time, no problems, no issues. And again, they've great PR with the local residents there as well to run those stages year after year.
Yeah, and the residents, we spoke to a few residents there from around, and they're delighted to see the event there as well too. So as you say, that has to be positive for the club as well too. And and the action on the stages, Jonny was sublime, Catherine McCourt, but I think the one man that stood out for both of us was William Crichton. Absolutely, friend of the show. And it's not the only reason we're mentioning him, but gee, what a drive, taking the Rally 4 Fiesta, and a Rally 3 Fiesta.
Apologies, the Rally 3 Fiesta, actually, yeah. And again, you could see the difference, the experience he's gaining on the international stages is making. You and I looked at and we watched and we talked about the lines and the difference in his approach to some of the bends and the corners and the jumps compared to the other competitors. And his experience is really starting to come through. I am looking forward to 6 or 7 years down the line when William is full-time looking at the ITRC, for a full championship, to see where he ends up in that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like the more I see of this wee Rally 3 Fiesta, the more I'm raving about it. Like the way it handles the jump, the way it carries the speed. Yeah, no, Williams a class act, but it's a class wee car. It really is.
Yeah, oh no, it's a brilliant car. Like genuinely ran faultless from what we could see. Not an issue with it, and again, well piloted, but a car that was well set up for the Irish roads, which can be tricky enough,
Absolutely.
to get the setup right for the tarmac here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we should also mention Jason Mitchell too, who has finally, hopefully, maybe turned a wee bit of a corner on the tarmac. He set fastest time on the very last stage, but also the times were more competitive. Brilliant to see, and I'm delighted for Jason. He's put a lot of work into his rallying. He loves the gravel, but fingers crossed now that the things are starting to go the right way for him in the tar, because he's such a likable man.
Absolutely, it was a fine fourth place for himself and Paddy McCrudden. I thought they had a great event. I thought they did very, very well, and again brought it home in front of William and weren't too far behind Cavan McCourt.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And like going by social media, the guys over from the Pro Tire British Tarmac Championship, they all love the event, and like, again, what a wonder for Irish rallying. The fantastic stages. The weather wasn't the most pleasant, but it didn't seem to deter anybody. Everybody just seemed to really take to the event and really enjoy it. It's brilliant to see.
Absolutely. The weather wasn't great in the morning, didn't cause any major issues, and certainly didn't seem to put anybody off. So, despite the inclement conditions, it was a well-run, well-attended rally.
Yeah, and Damien Toner taking the two-wheel drive as well. Like Damien always goes hard, and everywhere we seen him, he was full commitment. There's no two ways looking at it.
Absolutely, yes, he was a joy to watch, and where we were, at several jumps, certainly was impressive.
That is for sure. That is for sure. And right down throughout the field, there was real good battles and real, the standard machinery. It's brilliant to see that. Like Northern Ireland Championship has raised the bar this year. Great to see. And as mentioned there, these British guys coming over. Nice to see a wee bit of variety, and hopefully maybe get a few of them back again at some point. As well.
Fingers crossed. As you mentioned, it's a great showcase of the rallying that we have over here. And you're right, the Northern Ireland Championship has lifted the bar this year. It's been really incredible and a joy to follow. And again, that mix of competition from throughout the island, and then throw in some of our UK competitors, just for that extra added oomph of competition. And hopefully they go home and they rave about the well-run rallies and the quality of the stages. Yeah. And we see more of them back here next year.
Hopefully now that will be it. And then, a little closer to home, then Cork 20 is on this weekend. The resumption of the Tarmac Championship. Josh has had a fantastic year so far, himself and Andy. Will they be able to continue that run of form? But, it's going to be a fascinating battle once again.
I think it's going to be extremely interesting. We've Callum returns after his unfortunate retirement in Donegal, point to prove. Having led Donegal and had a fantastic fight with Matt Edwards there. Alistair Fisher, again, looking for that win. And then we have Josh looking to, get as close to sealing the ITRC championship for himself as possible.
Yeah, and Marion Evans as well too. Like Marion can't be discounted. He had a fantastic run in Cork last year. And, every event now, Donegal in particular, he wasn't, he was just nipping their heels as well too. So, sooner or later that's going to come good.
Absolutely, and you're right. Cork is it seems to be a set of stages down there that seem to suit Marion's style. So it will be interesting to watch. And again, we have a possibility for mixed weather conditions again this weekend, so that could throw something into the results as well.
Yeah, and Desi Henry's coming back to the Tarmac Championship this weekend again as well. Like we think of him in the Circuit Ireland. He was fabulous to watch there. So. It's once again, we're talking about probably tenths a second here. It's, Irish rallying this year. We keep talking about it, but it is, it's fabulous.
It is. It's been phenomenally close. Really, it's not, as you say, it's tenths of seconds, in the battles on the stages. And it's nip and tuck the whole way, and some fantastic fights, not just for first and second place, but right through the top 10.
Yeah, and beyond, like into the modified, into the,
Absolutely.
the Rally 4 guys, even into the juniors, everything. It's such a great showcase this year. There's been other years, there's been a tight battle at the top, but maybe the lesser, or the other categories is maybe lesser supported. But this year, it's, the competition's running right down throughout the field, which is brilliant to see.
It is, and long may it continue.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, and we should mention on a side note, the Down Rally, we were approached by a father and his 3 sons, and what a lovely story they had, wasn't it, Conor?
It was indeed. No, it was lovely to be introduced to them, and then they had recognised ourselves from the podcast and come up to say hello, and great to get talking to the kids. And the kids were excited about rally, and were out making videos, and they have their own YouTube channel, EJB videos. And I thought that a very interesting coincidence on the day that we heard that Paddy Hopkirk had passed away, the number plate on the Mini was EJB.
Yeah.
I just thought, just seemed a strange coincidence.
Yeah, a father, and these young guys, I think the oldest ones will be only 14 or 15. And they're out there making videos, uploading them to YouTube. So, recommend anybody to go and take a wee look. It's EGB Rally videos, I think they've gone there on YouTube. Well worth catching up with. They've caught some great footage there this year. They've been to the circuit, Donegal, Down. So there's a few other events there as well too. So well worth catching up with that. But without further ado, I think we'll cut over now to Gordon Noble and get his thoughts ahead of Cork 20 this weekend. So, Gordon, we just took a wee quick look back at the season before we get into what's coming up. At the start of the season, we're just that wee fraction off the pace, but the 2 years worked very hard, and then we seen it on the second day of the Circuit Ireland. Something clicked. It must be a great feeling when all that comes together.
It is, Kevin. It's hard to describe the buzz you get whenever everything does work correctly and the way you had planned it to be. It was the start of the year, as in the first few rallies, always on the first day we were a wee bit off the sort of pace and slow to get speeded up. In Galway, we got our speed up, and West Cork, we got reasonably good speed on the second day as well. But as you say, the circuit on the second day, without any particular major change or drama or anything else, we didn't change the pace notes. There was a few minor suspension settings with the car that were made, but just a bit slightly more relaxed, I would say, attitude, and a bit more attack and a bit more aggression. I think the fact that the roads were dry and we had a consistent grip made it easier to work like that. As you say, whenever it works, it's brilliant. Whenever it doesn't work, it's the most frustrating thing ever, because you're only looking for very, very small margins. You're only looking for 3 seconds per sort of stage and things like that, and that's the margin that's been between the front runners and the sort of tarmac championship for the year. So it's been good. It's been busy, but hopefully it's all going to be positive for us towards the end.
Because as you say, it's like 3 seconds a stage. It's a blink of an eye. It's a half spin, or even just it's a nothing. It shows the competitiveness of the tarmac championship this year, that rallies are decided by such minor indiscretions. Nearly, not even indiscretion, really.
Exactly right. I mean, the stage times between not just the 4 of us that are left in contention for the championship, but there's been quite a few other guys. I mean, obviously Josh has been getting away with plenty and winning plenty, and fair play to him for doing that. He's getting a lot of things are working. Callum Devine has shown his speed again. Marion Evans has been a new revelation in the speed he's been going and the results he's got. But there's quite a few other guys as well. I mean, Cahan McCourt has been setting some very good times, but like us, hasn't got the results to actually show for it. Mm-hmm. Desi Henry's another man who's on that Cork entry list. Anytime Desi was out, he's been going fast. Mm-hmm. But I like it. A number of other drivers hasn't got results which show the sort of speed he's been going. Yeah. Mainly, I think Desi's had quite a few mechanical issues and so on. Mm-hmm. Young Cronin, Daniel, is another fast guy. He's going to be there in the mix when we come to Cork. But as you say, that in terms of the championship, it's only very minor issues, puncture, spins, that sort of stuff, which has dropped you from a reasonable result into a good result, or even a winning one. So it's better for the championship. Is better for us. All the competitors have to be super attentive, and make and work hard. I'm sure it's good for spectators and everybody else as well that it is a very, very close race rather than somebody running away with it.
Absolutely, because it's nail biting. You're watching them results come in. You're tuning into Killian or you're on the ditches or whatever, and it's just it's mesmerising to watch, and it's great to see Irish rallying in such a positive way.
Absolutely, and I think it's good for, as you say, it's good for the sport in general. It's good for us. It keeps us on our sort of toes, So it's good for everybody, I think, as long as we can keep it like that. And there's, as I say, there's plenty of other drivers here round and about, and maybe haven't been doing some of them. So many of those rallies could come back into the sort of mix. I think it's very interesting to see the McHale's back out. Gareth had a good run a couple of weeks ago there. Finished second, so he seems to be getting the hang of that car as well. Another man that could be in the sort of mix, not maybe for this rally, but for next year again. So
and then
more the merrier.
We're going into Cork now this weekend, Cork 20 rally, and it's normally traditionally sort of October time, but maybe the wee bit earlier, warmer temperature, hopefully drier conditions, but we can't be sure of that. Will that change the characteristics of the roads in Cork? Or?
Yeah, well, I mean, Cork roads are always good, and it's always a very well organised rally. I must give them credit for that. And again, this year from the pre-event paperwork, it gives you a lot of confidence going down there that it is going to be a very well run rally. In terms of the weather, that's something that we live in Ireland, and you never can predict what's going to happen. But for sure, you have a better chance of having a dry rally. Some of the roads they use in Cork, some of them are slightly mountainous, and some of them are more farming roads and things like that. And for sure, when it's dry, there's more grip and the consistency is better. It may change the character of the rally in ways that that you would, in previous years in October, you would have often got damp, cold days, which changes the sort of grip level and maybe your attitude. But a bit like Galway, it's notoriously at the start of the year, it's difficult to find grip in the sweat. I think it'll be good. I think it'll give the rally an extra bit of a buzz, and the more people that are down there supporting it, the better. Because I mean, it has been over the years, all the years I've been rallying down there, it's always been a very well run rally. But unfortunately, as the final round of that championship, very often it didn't get the quality of the entry that it probably deserved, because people had decided that their championship was over, and there was no real point in going.
Yeah. And then look sort of beyond the Ulster, beyond Cork to the Ulster, which is a 2-day rally, and it's going to be 2 rounds, each day counting as a round of the championship. So that in itself will also add an extra dimension to the championship this year.
It does add a completely different dimension and a completely different focus, because remember, you can get more points for finishing 4th on the Ulster than you can for actually winning Donegal or West Cork or kind of circuit. So it does change your attitude and your approach to that, and it does mean the championship is definitely open until the sort of second day. Even if no matter who wins Cork, and the championship still can't. Well, sorry, not no matter who wins, but there are scenarios where the championship could be wrapped up in Cork. Joyce could actually take it if ourselves and Callum and Marion didn't actually finish. It could be wrapped up, but it does keep it open. And even until the second day of Ulster, there's still points for grabs, so it won't be over even on Friday night. So that'll definitely keep it interesting. But everybody has their own opinion about whether you score. How you should score the actual championship, but I think it's good that it keeps it alive. But it does put a lot of emphasis onto a particularly short day on Ulster on the Friday, when it was only 25 miles maybe, and you get quite a lot of points for that.
But in them 25 miles, there's going to be a night stage, which adds an extra dimension as well too. Which is it's been a few years since there's been night stages here in Ireland. Be great to see. What's that feeling like?
Oh, it's a bit like whenever rallying goes well and whenever it goes good, and night stages is absolutely the most fantastic buzz. For a guy who's brought up doing navigation rallies 20 or 30 years ago, I quite enjoy that challenge, but it's a bit different. You have to be familiar with the car and all the bits around you, because there's darkness in there. Your pace notes have to be quite accurate as well, because you don't see a couple of 100 meters ahead. You don't necessarily see the lines of the hedges and that sort of stuff. So you need to be, from the co-driver point of view, the driver relies on you very heavily to have the notes correct and accurate at the right time, because he can't see that extra couple of 100 meters ahead. different challenge. When it goes well, it's like everything. The buzz is fantastic, but again, a small glitch in pace notes or spotlight setup or those type of things, you'd end up hemorrhaging time quite quickly. But I believe on the Ulster, the stage one is only 6 or 7 miles, and then there's a long stage, and then you go back, and in the darkness you repeat that shorter stage of 6 or 7 miles or something like that. So and from a championship point of view, a small difference in there could end up giving you a big difference in terms of points. So we have to make sure we have everything right for that.
That's for sure. That is for sure.
And back to the Ulster, Gavin, the Ulster was one of the traditional rallies that did run nighttime stages that traditionally had the Friday afternoon or Friday evening, ran into the dark. And then you had a proper day's rally on Saturday. So it's good to get that back. As you say, it's a while since it happened. And it was difficult for organisers. They have a bit more emphasis to try and track cars and keep eyes on the eye on things. But it's good to it'll create a buzz.
Absolutely. And going into the event, you said, the different scenarios with the championship and one thing and another. Is there a game plan, or is it just go and, after the first stage, reassess things flat out? Or where do you go?
The game plan as far as the championship is concerned is that we have to keep winning. So there's no real game plan. We just have to go as fast as we can for as long as we can. The scenario is if Joyce should win Cork, I think the championship is kind of out of the hands of both Callum and us. And Callum's very much in exactly the same position as us, and both of us have 1 win and two second places so far. And both crews are relying on Cork and then Ulster to consolidate whatever score we have. So Joyce has the points earned; he has them there. He has them bad. Both Callum and us have to try and do the job late in the start of the season, and don't rule out Mary and Evans as well. If he could put in strong performances and win Cork and Ulster, mathematically he could still win the championship. So that's definitely a four-way battle there. But back to the attitude is we're going to have to go as hard as we can for as long as we can.
Well, you can't say much more than that. So, Gordon, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Catch up again.
So lovely there to catch up with Gordon, and wishing himself, Alistair, and all the top crews and all the crews, even that one, a successful and safe weekend in Cork. And also caught up with Jason Dickson in the Rally 4 Fiesta ahead of the weekend. These Rally 4 guys, as they're fighting over 10th of a second, the same as the overall battles. There are some phenomenal battles there too as well, Connor.
Absolutely. Like, their rallying is just as intense and just as meaningful as the leaders. At the end of the day, they're out for class victories in their own championship. So, they really are giving it hell for leather on those stages.
Absolutely. They're to them, one in their class is as good as one in the rally to them. So, without further ado, we'll come over and get Jason's thoughts. Jason, I suppose, with rallying's been in the blood in your family. Your great uncle Ashley Armstrong, was one of the guys to do the very first Donegal rally back in 1971-72, and then your dad and your 2 brothers. It's such a strong heritage in your family. Was rallying always going to be your thing?
Yeah, I think it was. As you say, Ashley Armstrong, which would be my great uncle. He would have been rallying at a high level back in the 60s and 70s. I think he actually finished 7th overall in Donegal the first year it ran, which would have been a big achievement back then, saying how big a rally it was. Dad then would have started rallying in the late 80s, early 90s. And he rallied at a high enough level back then at clubman level. He would have got good results back then, and the likes of a Sunbeam, a 1600 Sunbeam, and then he stopped rallying then whenever the children started to come along and and Mum started putting the foot down. So, but then he got back into it. Then I think it was 2010 or 11 maybe. He bought an Evo again, and he's been rallying ever since then. So he has.
Yes. And then you all get pulled in along as well. There's yourself and the 2 brothers. like it's such an achievement. 4 cars coming out of the one household. It must be a busy house at times.
Very busy house. Not only we rallying, but we have the business, obviously, and then we have a family farm at home. So, look, there's never a dull moment about our house. I suppose we started in kart racing whenever we would have been the age to kart race. I think it was 8 back then. So Dad would have pushed us that direction, and we started off with kart racing, and then obviously developed then into rallying whenever we got the license.
Excellent. And over the last few years, you've been mixing up gravel and tar. Have you a preference, or you're happy in either surface?
Probably whenever we started, I think we were all started on the gravel, the Valvoline Championship. Stephen and Ian would have both done tarmac whenever they started, but I started and I just stuck to gravel. I got my chance then in 2019, I think it was, to go to tarmac. Always wanted to try tarmac, and just loved it as soon as I got onto the tarmac. I'd probably prefer tarmac over gravel, but look, I like gravel. I just like driving. I don't mind what it's on. But
so it's 4 wheels and an engine, you're happy.
yeah, you're right. So no, I definitely probably would prefer tarmac, but especially doing the likes of the Irish Tarmac Championship with them big rallies. It is unbelievable to do some of them classic stages. In Donegal or Killarney, they're all class stages, so they're.
We think of West Cork, we think of Ring, we think of, Killarney, Moll's Gap, Donegal, and all that. You would travel far to get to compete in classic stages like that far, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. As I say, this was my first year doing the full Irish Tarmac Championship. I'd done a couple of rounds. Was it 2019? I done Cork 20, and then 2020 I started with Galway. But this would have been the first year doing the whole championship. First year doing them big iconic rallies like West Cork, Killarney, and Donegal, and it is just something else to drive them stages.
Absolutely. And then the championship so far, you had ones in Killarney and a one in Donegal as well in the class. That sets you in a good place then going into the final 3 rounds. People looking at it in paper probably think 2 rounds, but Ulster been split over 2 rounds. It leaves it all to play for this year, doesn't it?
It does. We probably did have a bad start to the year. We were unlucky in Galway. We started off the year racing Eamon, came to Galway, and we were racing him. He went off on I think it was the 2nd stage, and we were leading the rally up until the 5th stage where we had an accident. And Ryan then obviously won the class on then to West Cork, and we had mechanical failure in it. And then the circuit, then again, my fault. We had another off. So the first 3 rallies of the year was stroked off, and it was only then in Killarney and Donegal then that we got a finish, and both of them were wins. So nice to get the result in them big rallies, but we definitely needed it for the championship.
Yeah, and this year of all years, probably the way the championship is going to finish up, it probably allows you to drop them scores and still leave you in a good position.
Yeah, it does leave us in a good position, with the drop scores, but we do need another 2 good rallies going forward here with Cork and in the Ulster. So we need 2 strong rallies to leave us right for the championship, I think.
Mm-hmm. And Cork is a new event to you, and probably a new event to most of the guys as well. So it leaves a level playing field, and then so that'll make that interesting. And then the Ulster, you have a night stage to contend with as well on the Friday, which is again something different for everybody as well. It's going to be an epic battle to the finish.
It is. Like, Ryan's paces came on all year, so he's getting stronger every rally, and it's a real good championship, a real good fight between me and him. So hopefully I can go down to the Ulster and the quickest man comes out on top, hopefully.
Yeah, and as you say, doing a championship, you're competing against the same guys. So, it's always a good gauge of where your performance is at. Do you feel that you've developed as a driver this year too, doing them, the longer rallies and at a higher level?
Yeah, definitely doing these bigger rallies. At the start of the year, I probably wasn't driving as well as what I am now. I feel anyway, and putting more pressure since Galway. I started to put more pressure on myself, and probably didn't enjoy the rallying as much as what I should have. But sort of come Killarney, relaxed a bit more, and I've been enjoying both Killarney and Donegal. They've been great rallies, and I've been able to show me speed on them. So I have. So going forward into Cork this weekend, I'll be doing the same. Just going there to have fun. Obviously, I know in the back of my mind that I need a result, but not really focusing too much on that. Just going to enjoy the rally more than anything.
That was great to get Jason's take on it, and I'm really interested to see how that Rally 4 Championship plays out over the rest of the season. Another person that we caught up with this week was Aoife Raftery. Aoife is relatively new on the scene, just over a year's rallying under her belt, and we wanted to catch up with her and see, what she had to say for herself. You're a lady on the move. You've kind of appeared out of nowhere almost, and certainly making waves with regard to Irish rallying. So where did you come from? How did you get started? What's been the interest in motorsport?
I suppose I've always had a background in motorsport, but last July I went out and I did my first rally. I originally got into it from my father and my brother. They both used to drive, so I've always been going to events, but it was just last year that I took it on myself. So
Aoife, you started in rallying just over a year ago, but you didn't just start on the home event or the local events down the road. Your first event was on gravel as part of the British Rally Championship at the Nicky Grist stages. How did you end up starting there?
Yeah, I suppose I wanted to get out driving myself, and at the time COVID was here, and unfortunately in Ireland the events hadn't returned yet, and I really wanted to get going and get started. So that's how we decided we'd go to the UK and we'd do our first event and just get the ball rolling.
Yeah, and it wasn't just a one-off. You've done several rounds of the BRC.
Yeah, we did, and it was a great experience. And we learned so much, and we met so many great people over there. It was a really good experience and a good place to learn.
Yeah, it's a very good training ground, and the forests there are very different to the forest at home here. So, if you are going to learn anywhere about tight, tough competition, that is one of the places.
Yeah, definitely. Like the guys over there were so experienced, and it was very good for myself because they would also help me as well, give me tips. It was brilliant, and we got to do recce over there on the gravel events, which you don't get here in Ireland, which was a huge help too.
Yeah, and as a benchmarking exercise, did it give you somewhere to aim for, or were you aware of that or looking at that stage, or was it a benchmarking exercise?
No, definitely. Like we went over, and I tried not to put too much pressure on because I didn't know where I'd be based against them. So it was just nice to go over and see how it'd get on, and we were just more focused on building up our own pace, working on our pace notes, and just getting that seat time, as I say.
And you've taken your first foray into rallying very seriously. Like you've spent time being coached by Matt Edwards, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that was a brilliant experience. We had Matt over last October now. It was super. He's very good at teaching and tutoring and explaining. So that was a huge help. And especially with all his experience and how quick he is, it was great to have him in the car and just get those tips from him. Brilliant.
Yeah. And I believe taught you left foot braking?
Yeah, he did. I suppose I kind of knew how to do it beforehand, but I wasn't putting it into use. And then when he was sitting beside me, we got that going. And now it's just, I don't even know how before I didn't use left foot braking. So that was a huge help.
It's just second nature now when you're in the rally car.
Yeah.
And then you're just off the back of the Down Rally. How did that go for you?
That was a really nice event. The stages were fantastic. We did a lot of work in recce, and we do a lot of myself and my co-driver Geraldine. We do a lot of practice making our pace notes recently, and so we were trying something new for that recce and bringing it into the event with our notes. And I think it has definitely helped going forward in the future.
Yeah, and some tricky conditions up on the Down Rally. There was mist on some of the stages on the Hamilton's Folly stage, and it was damp conditions as well. Those roads were tight and tricky in places. Yeah,
it certainly was. They were tricky, but they were really enjoyable stages. really, I loved Hamilton's Folly. It was a fantastic stage. But no, it was definitely tricky, but it was also still learning, so it was fantastic.
Yeah, and you mentioned Geraldine McBride. So you've partnered with Geraldine now for several months, and Geraldine's quite an experienced co-driver. Has she been very helpful, and is she helping you to get to grips and the finer points of the pace notes?
Oh yeah, certainly. She's brought the level of professionalism. She has so much experience that since she's come, we've really, really upped our pace notes. It's something we're really, really focusing on, and they've definitely improved. As well, she's super organized. Everything is scheduled and planned down to a T. So that's what I need, and it's perfect. But no, she's great, and as you say, so much experience that she's teaching me new things as well.
Yeah, and in the space of a year, not only have you been competing in the UK as well as Ireland, you also had a run on the San Remo Rally. How did that come around?
Yeah, that was another fantastic event. No, we knew the gravel in Italy was they're serious rallies to do, and you learn so much from them. And it was just a new challenge, and to learn and go do something new and get that experience of outside of Ireland events. And so that's what we did. We went out in a Peugeot 208 or2. Lovely car, fantastic stages. And we went over, and we just wanted to go and learn, as I say, and just build up on the knowledge of events outside Ireland, because it was a huge new task.
Was it an eye-opener? Is it a different level?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. The pace out there is super quick. But again, it's still nice to be able to place yourself against the other competitors out there and see how you're coming along. So it was definitely very good that way.
And you're also working with the Motorsport Ireland Academy. What's involved in that?
Yeah, so I was selected for the Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy for 2022. We do a lot of work with nutrition and fitness. The last Academy Day we worked on flexibility and reactions, which is all fantastic. And some people might not know that you need all these elements, but the Academy come and they teach you so much new things. It's fantastic. And then also they've Josh McAleen and William Crichton there. They're at WRC levels, so with them as well, you're always getting top tips and help from them guys, which is fantastic. To have that communication.
And what do you call it? What's the future hold? What's the immediate or the intermediate plans for yourself, Aoife?
Is to keep building up at the moment, seat time and experience, and just improve my pace, and then in the future is definitely would be to rally full time is the plan. But at the moment we're just really trying to focus on building everything up and trying to get it all to come together, because we've still only been rallying just over a year at this stage, so it's still a lot of catching up to do. But it's going fantastic. So it is, and we've had so many great people that they're all so helpful as well.
And have you earmarked any other European events, for experience building?
Yeah, we definitely hope to get back out again. It's just a matter of choosing the right events where we can gain the most knowledge from. But definitely that would be the plan, yeah.
We continually extol the virtues of MI Academy, and to hear Aoife talk there, it just reinforces what we've been saying all along, So this weekend we have the Cork 20. It's going to be a fascinating battle. So remember to stay tuned and get all the latest information there, because it's going to be epic. It really is this weekend, isn't it, Conor?
It is. This is an important one in the championship. This will determine whether it goes down to the wire or not, or how it all unfolds. So it really is. It's on the edge of the seat stuff, or I'm hoping it will be.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you could please share, comment, share, whatever, all these different things you can do on social media. We're probably not the best at all that kind of thing, but all your likes, shares, comment, every one of them's appreciated. And if you see us out and about too, come up and say hello as well too, it's lovely as well. So until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.